Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight so far, Hamada and Naota. Hope you guys are well. Naota, thank fuck that sideshow circus is over. You know, last couple of weeks, last couple of months, ever since it got announced, man, that people that know that I follow boxing coming up to me asking my opinion on it, and I'm like, don't come up with me with that shit, man. I don't want to fucking respond to it. But finally, the fight happened. We had a conclusion. Thank God that boxing won. Most people predicted it was going to, and it did. Because imagine if McGregor won, man. I would have to retire this show. Now, Mystic Men.
Yeah, that would have been an endless nightmare.
It would have been Mystic Men on a Monday. But yeah,
Yep.
what did you think, Naota, of the fight itself? I don't really want to go too deep into it because you are basically dissecting an amateur versus a pro. But what did you think about the fight?
Well, you know, main event wise, it kind of played out not too dissimilar from the way I figured it would. You know, I felt like if anything, Floyd would probably, you know, allow McGregor to do some things in there. You know, give people some hope, give the McGregor fans some hope. And then once it got to the rounds where McGregor would most likely start tiring because he has shown stamina issues even in MMA, and that could be exacerbated in boxing as he showed, then he would just turn it up. And pretty much from round 4 onwards, he turned it up on him and, you know, slowly but surely beat him up, beat him down, and stopped him, you know. I was actually pretty amazed at how, you know, big in comparison McGregor looked to Mayweather in the ring and everything. You know, I knew that he was a bigger guy, but, you know, it really reminded me of like Canelo, Mayweather, you know, things like that, where it's like, you know, it's just two guys that, you know, if McGregor was a regular boxer, he'd be easily a light middleweight or a middleweight outright. You know, but Floyd, and even though Floyd, you could tell that he slipped a little bit, there were certain openings that he didn't quite take advantage of. There were several times where I felt like he could launch in another right hand, as McGregor was kind of pulling straight back with his hands down. But there were a few moments where he kind of let that get away from him. So you could see that, you know, Floyd isn't even necessarily like a top guy anymore. Like, you know, Errol Spence would beat the Floyd that we saw. But you could tell that he still has the old technical abilities to pretty much do what he wanted in there with McGregor. McGregor, for his sake, I mean, he showed at least a couple of good things whereby, you know, if he had started boxing earlier in his life, maybe he could have done some things, you know, with that kind of imitation of Nassim Hamed in a certain way. But, you know, it just wasn't there to be for him. And Floyd shut his mouth and unfortunately didn't shut all the MacTards down. You know, he didn't shut all the McGregor fanboys down, you know, in terms of people acting like McGregor like had some sort of Pyrrhic victory, even though he got his ass whooped. But, you know, there's some people that are just never going to be pleased regardless of what you do, regardless of how clear of a margin that you take in winning. I'm actually kind of annoyed at the fact that Tony Weeks didn't let Floyd put him down for good, but I could see the reason why he stopped it, because at that point, McGregor had been for over a round and a half been sloppy drunk getting his ass whooped. So
yeah, you mean Robert Bird?
What did I say?
You said Tony Weeks.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, Robert Bird. Yeah.
Hamada,
yeah, easy work.
From fallout of this fight since kind of Sunday morning, there's kind of a narrative of two different types. One is people are saying Conor did all right, and one people saying that Conor was terrible. Like, where do you lie?
I lie somewhere in between those two narratives. I think, like, I had very low expectations for Conor. I thought Conor was just terrible. I thought he didn't know how to box and stuff, and he surprised me in the first 3 rounds, especially with some counter punching, which I couldn't believe, really. Like, he would, like, Floyd would throw a lead right hand and he would slip and then counter with the uppercut right hook or a right hook uppercut, and I was surprised that he was able to pull off those kinds of skills. And his jab in the first couple of rounds was okay. I wouldn't say it was great or anything, but it was okay. The main thing was in the first few rounds, I noticed, like, Floyd was waiting a lot. Like, he was just seeing what Conor had, because Conor was, like, very awkward. Like, his hands were in weird positions. Like, his stance was very wide, and, like, he was just you were just waiting to see what Conor had, and yeah, I was surprised in the first few rounds. His work rate was quite good as well. He was getting in punches, but some of the stuff Conor was doing was obviously it's from his UFC MMA fighting style, where obviously, you know, when they take someone down, where they take someone down to the ground, and then when they're punching them on the top of the head and around the side of their head and stuff, like obviously in boxing you can't do that, and at times he was holding and punching at the same time, which you can't do in boxing, even though we do see some boxers do it. But I don't know, I think from round 4 onwards, Floyd just pretty much went to town on him, just started landing punches at will.
Just walking him down.
Right
yeah, high guard, just walking him down.
Yeah, high guard, just walking him down. That right hand to the body a couple of times hurt McGregor. Like, the straight right to the body was bothering McGregor at times. And it was only a matter of time, especially McGregor started to gas badly around round 7. Like, you could see, like, his legs were gone, like, from that round. And he done actually quite well, to be honest, to manage to get through to round 10, especially round 9 was a really bad round for him. He was all over the shop, and he just about managed to survive, and it was only a matter of time. And yeah, I wouldn't say I was impressed with McGregor, but I had such low expectations for him, so he went up in my estimation, but obviously, yeah, it just wasn't good enough. It was a fun fight though. I mean, Floyd clearly didn't respect McGregor and just fought this shit. High guard, parry, and just shoot. And it was quite fun. It's funny because a lot of people are looking at it and saying Floyd slipped, but like, I just think he just fought in a completely different style, which we're not accustomed to seeing him fighting. Like,
yeah, he's used
Floyd
it before.
He doesn't really walk, especially in recent
not for
years.
a long time, though, Naoto. That's the thing. I think because he was kind of, it wasn't like a classic Floyd being defensive. He was just kind of high guard, trying to avoid punches and shoot the right hand.
He did it against Shane. He did it against Zab. He did it against Corley. He's used that style several times.
Yeah, but even those fights were a long time ago. I'm talking about in the last 5 years.
I'm talking about in recent years.
No, but that's the thing though. Like, he's not the same guy. Like, there's a lot of moments where there was times to make him pay, and he didn't make him pay. There was numerous.
Obviously, your time is going to be off when you're out of the ring 2 years. Do you know what I mean? Your timing and stuff will be off. But like the way he was fighting, like he was walking McGregor down 3 minutes of the round. Like, Floyd will have like spells of 20 seconds where he'll walk someone down and then he'll get back to moving and stuff like that. But like he was like, I was watching it thinking like, he's actually fighting like Broner. Like, that's how Broner fights, when Broner's walking people down. Where he took the higher guard up, switching it sometimes to the shoulder roll and just walking down, shooting body punches.
Floyd fights a lot like that in sparring too. If you guys have ever watched some of his sparring videos, like a lot of times his sparring is really a lot harder than his fights. Like, he gets real gritty, a lot more so, and he used that to his advantage there. And he really didn't respect anything that McGregor did. McGregor was touching him, like playing freeze tag with him, and as far as I'm concerned, nothing that he actually landed was meant very much.
It was McGregor's power was clearly a myth. Like, a lot of his punches, he didn't really, like, you could tell, like, he there's no, like, how do I say it? Like, he wasn't putting weight behind his punches. Like, he wasn't punching with his legs.
Well, he was with the left hand. He was with the left hand, but with the right, he wasn't, like, having that pouring out jab there, just shooting it.
Yeah, the right, he was straight tapping.
And then even he was tapping with the right hook as well. It throw like a 1, 2, 3, and the right hook would just be a kind of tap. There was no weight behind it.
Except for those hammer punches to the back of the head.
Yeah.
I think he was sitting on those a little bit, but that's.
He was even punching Floyd in the back.
Yeah, surprised that. I don't think Bird handled it well, I think he could have given a bit more warnings and stuff. I think he was being more lenient because, Conor's coming from the MMA background. But if a boxer versus a boxer was doing some of those tactics, he would have got points taken away.
Well, and I don't think that Floyd was arguing too hard against it, because he felt like at the end of the day he was just gonna get it. He was gonna tire himself, and he was gonna have those openings available to him.
He was just thinking about a 30 mil, man. He didn't care, man. He was just thinking about a 30 mil for one fight. Jay-Z's going to have to write some new bars instead of Tyson's 30 mil for a night and not 300 mil for a fight. But Leon's jumped on the line. Are you there, Leon?
Yeah, hello.
How are you, young man?
Yeah, good. Yourselves?
Yeah, good, thank you. I asked Hamada the question, which side he lied on between people saying Conor did well or better than they expected, or it was just easy for Mayweather, man. Where do you sit?
Yeah, easy for Mayweather, and McGregor did okay, but I mean, it went like how people expected it to. This narrative that's being pumped by like Bunce. I heard Bunce talking about, and Mike Costello, that something happened there that we didn't expect is just a nonsense. Anyone who's really into the sport knew what Floyd was going to do. He did what Floyd always does. And yeah, it's stylistically, in the later rounds he started walking him down, but he always takes a couple of rounds. People always win early rounds against Floyd. So the idea that McGregor put on some kind of, did much, much better than expected is a nonsense. This is a guy saying before the fight he's going to walk through an old man and knock him out in 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah. And that he runs boxing.
But you can't.
He runs boxing, but he obviously didn't run enough fucking road work in order to keep himself from gassing out. You
can't pick or choose. You've said this thing, so you can't then go, oh well, actually, I won a couple of rounds, so that's a moral victory. No, that doesn't work.
And he never boxed before isn't an argument. He runs boxing. I'm here to take over. I don't take over shit, but a fucking L.
I don't care. He got beaten up, and it went how everyone would expect it to. For people who aren't really into boxing, I'm sure it felt like it was a really special evening. For people who watch the sport in any way seriously, not even like this hardcore casual thing, but if you watch enough boxing that was not competitive on any level, he was beaten. He got the shit beaten out of him in the end by a man who's 10 years, let's say at best 5 years past his prime, 10 years past his prime, who's been out of the ring for 2 years, and obviously did look like he had slipped a bit.
Isn't a knockout puncher, has brittle hands.
No, but is
like about 15 pounds lighter.
But Floyd obviously had slipped a bit because, I think McGregor obviously did. I don't know if I can't get my head around the idea that he caused him any kind of trouble, because I don't really believe he did. Maybe he was a bit awkward in there for a couple of rounds. And I mean, look, the punches that he landed, they weren't. Floyd's felt that before. But like we said before, for all of the things I say about Floyd, inside the ring, he's legit. And the chin is legit. So the idea that he was hurt, I've seen some kind of madness, like he got hurt, buzzed up in round 9. Well, I didn't see that. I didn't see him struggle with anything. Yes, he got landed on, but people have touched Floyd before. I mean, you can't go through boxing, however good defensively he is, and not get touched. He's been touched plenty of times.
Yeah, me and Hamada was
legit. He's legit.
You fight good fighters, you get hit.
He's legit, and the idea that he's a great fighter. So I mean, it got proven, that he was nowhere near the level of McGregor, and now this idea that people are starting to pit McGregor over other boxers. I mean, if he was fighting someone who could really come forward, a proper pressure fighter,
Errol Spence would have beaten down,
chewed up in a couple of rounds.
Yep.
He's a 154. He could potentially be 160.
The only reason why he lasted that long,
to bits.
Yeah, the only reason why he lasted divisions. The only reason he lasted that long is because he's way bigger than Floyd, and Floyd's not a puncher. You put him in there against even Jarrett fucking Hurd, for fuck's sake. The weakest champion by far at light middleweight, and he's getting fucking iced.
But what happened? Look, I'm sorry. Look, yeah, I've heard all this other stuff. Oh, it's a longer discipline. It's a more athletically challenging discipline. But he gassed after three and a half rounds. That's 10 minutes. That's if I understand it right, that's 2 rounds in UFC. So he gassed, not because he gassed. He would have gassed within his own sport, like.
And he did against Nate Diaz, and Floyd probably.
I don't know. I've never seen any of that stuff.
Yeah, and Floyd probably saw that. He sees that Conor McGregor, he styles himself as like a cutie in MMA. This kind of defensive, kind of back foot counter punching guy. And when he's pressured and gets put, on his back foot, he doesn't, they really push backwards. straight backwards, he doesn't like it. And so that's exactly what Floyd did to his ass.
Leon, another
a small guy walking a bigger man down and whooping
Leon,
his ass.
another
Well, I'm not
narrative.
taking this as any kind of boxing victory. This was a sideshow for us. I mean, it seemed to mean a lot more to the MMA guys.
I'm
and
glad
they've
we
lost
won
their
it, though.
shit. It's been glorious to watch.
I'm glad we won it, though.
I'll take
Leon.
it. I'll take it.
I'm glad we won it. But Leon, another narrative afterwards is Conor was doing really good in the earlier rounds, but I just thought it was more Mayweather just, feeling him out and seeing what he had, and also after the fact it's easy to say, but yeah, let him kind of gas himself out a bit, throw a lot of shots, and he did. The first 3 rounds, Conor did throw a lot of shots, and look how he was in the fourth, man. He was visibly tired in the fourth, so I'm more on the fence of, Mayweather just let him gas himself out a bit and kind of see what he had, see what type of weight he had behind his punches, see what his technique is, and then after that go to work. And when he saw that his power wasn't really there, he just hands up, walked him down.
That's what I wish we had one of those MMA or MMA guys. Because I think something like became, maybe I'm wrong, but this is how I saw it. Is that the idea of power in MMA is a lot more seems like a different thing, because if you can knock your guy to the ground and you've buzzed him for a second and he's on the floor, you've pretty much won the fight, right? Because you can start to smash him in the face. In boxing, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like the power you've got to have to fucking. I haven't seen enough of McGregor to see if he's laid anyone out proper, out spark like touch of death cold.
Yeah, he has. No, but the thing is that those MMA gloves are like hitting. Those MMA gloves, you might as well be hitting somebody with a bare fucking fist, and even more than that, because that shit still protects your hands from getting like broken or something.
But you know what I mean? Like once you're down, you're down in that sport.
No, I know what you mean, Leon, and I'm no expert, but from I do conversate with Lim and Chemo quite often, and the thing is, some people are better at different attributes, so they might have a better stand-up game, but they might not be better on the floor. So you can knock someone down, but you don't want to engage with them on the floor because they might be better than you. So they might kind of do a role reversal and fuck you up. So it's not always as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it isn't, but it feels like a massive advantage. Like it just feels like a huge, like he can. Getting someone on the floor seems like a bigger deal in that sport. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can take a few punches. I think
most of McGregor's wins in the UFC are by knockout from punches.
Okay.
So in that realm, yes, he's a big puncher. But in that realm, like I was saying, those MMA gloves are like nothing. They're very, you might as well hit somebody with a bare fist, but it's gonna protect your hand more than a bare fist would. And they're also half the weight, if not more than half the weight, depending on 8 or 10 ounces than boxing gloves are. And they're much less, mass than boxing gloves are. So, you have way less, resistance, just like wind resistance on, actually throwing the damn glove.
Yeah. I don't know.
You might as well be shadow boxing with those fucking things on. That's how fast your hands will be in comparison.
I don't know enough to really comment. It just feels like he didn't look like a scary puncher.
Yeah. Because I have a pair of MMA gloves, and it's nothing. There's nowhere near fucking the same. It's nowhere near.
The technique was, his punching technique was, he was slapping a lot in there and stuff, and he just didn't seem fluid, like a fluid puncher in boxing. He didn't look like that to me. But look, I mean, he's completely out of his depth. I mean, what did we expect? The weird thing is, I think the big problem we have is that it's being built up into something that it fucking isn't. The guy should have got beaten up and did get beaten up, and that's all there is to it.
No, fuck it. No, but these motherfuckers want to talk about James Toney. Fuck James Toney and fuck you. Mayweather whooped your motherfucking top star. Eat a dick.
But look, my problem. The difference is, I don't think. Again, I might be wrong. I think it just seems like a much bigger deal for them. Like they've got something much more to prove. Where I don't give a shit I don't care if a UFC guy wants to come over here and fight. It just seems like them sending him over here was a much bigger deal to them.
Yeah. Hey, bring them all on. Let them out of the plantation so they can actually make some fucking money, and let's see them get their asses whooped. I'm fine with it.
Hamada,
I don't care. I think we should just leave it and none of us should ever speak of it again.
Yeah. But Hamada, quickly, Floyd now, he must fully retire now. It just seems for his age, for maybe he has lost a couple of steps. And what about Conor? Do you think Conor retires fully or goes back to MMA and still makes decent money?
No. Conor won't retire. Conor he's gonna go back to the UFC and probably fight again. UFC needs him right now, pretty much, because this year, him being basically on the shelf, and UFC's been shit pretty much this year, so they'll probably need to get him back in there. But he made a lot of money on Saturday night, so I'm not sure, but Floyd should retire. I think there's nothing else he needs to. Well, after me beating Pacquiao, there was nothing else for him to do. Pretty much, he only came back for this fight, obviously, because of ridiculous.
Was he ever? He was never out of retirement, as far as I was concerned. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was coming back to do this thing, not to do anything else. He was retired. He still is retired. Like it's just a sideshow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because do you think he trained properly? Because I know he did seem a little slower than usual.
Well, supposedly he didn't spar in the whole last month because of like a hand issue or something. So, I don't know.
But I mean, people calling for that McGregor Paulie fight. I mean, I think he would beat Paulie up, but I mean, he's 2 weight divisions above him pretty much, and he's Paulie's shot to shit. So yeah, exactly. So I mean, that fight that's a bigger freak show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a more competitive freak show. But yeah,
these people acting like
McGregor
Paulie's an insignificant welterweight to fucking begin with. An insignificant welterweight. You put him against anybody significant from welterweight to middleweight, he's getting starched. You put him against Lucas Matisse, he's getting starched. You put him against Jesse Vargas, he's getting starched. You put him against fucking Bradley Skeet, probably starches his ass.
Yeah. Eggington already did starch him.
That's it. Eggington should fight Conor.
Starched him already. The end of the story.
Eggington deserves a shot at Conor.
We like Eggington on here, but we know what level he is. And if he's fucking ripping your body to bits and you're fucking clean iced on the floor, I mean, there's no business you being fighting anyone. You should be done.
Yeah.
But this is happening. This is going to fucking happen, isn't it? They're saying, but I mean,
I hope not.
I think it'll die down.
Yeah, Paulie's probably get too far.
I'll be Team McGregor on that night, though. I'll tell you, I have no issue with that. No issue at all, man. I would fucking put in a. I'll get one of those fucking Guinness hats. I'll wear the fucking flag around my shoulders. Oh shit!
I hope it happens now, just to get a photo of you.
Exactly. I'll get a picture of that.
Add it to the picture of you in the Pakistan t-shirt.
Exactly. There you go.
Anyone else got anything else regarding this fight?
Not much. I just thought Robert Byrd was terrible.
Yeah, agreed.
He's too old, man. He can't even move at all.
Did you see that speech he gave at the beginning? It was like, shut the fuck up and let him start fighting, man.
Yeah, it was fucking ridiculous.
He was trying to hug the fame for himself.
Yeah, man.
Like, oh yeah, I was the referee in that fight.
Yeah, it's just bullshit. I think it was one of those where he knew the spotlight was on him and he wanted a bit of it. He wanted a bit of attention, yeah. But he was terrible, man. The guy's fucking old as shit, man. Fucking hell, man. He couldn't even move. Like, when times where like, McGregor will be hugging Mayweather from behind, he's so slow to get in there and stop the action. McGregor would start hitting Floyd in the back of the head and just thinking, what's wrong with this referee, man? Fucking donut. He's like Terry O'Connor.
You know what? Standard of referees is getting bad. I don't know if we're more critical these days, but like even Draculich will probably get to him later on with the Delome fight.
Well, they're all getting old too, to be fair.
Yeah, we need some young blood, man. Some new, fresh refs.
No one's coming through. I mean, who wants to be a ref?
Willis should just ref every fight.
Yeah, man. Willis, that's all we need, bro. All right, let's move on. Leon, what fight do you want to talk about next? I guess Gervonta Davis, Francisco Fonseca, fiasco.
I didn't see that. I saw Jack Cleverly.
All right. What did you think of the beatdown Jack gave Cleverly?
It was a good beatdown, wasn't it? He looked good, but I mean, against that guy. But I mean, Cleverly looked shot to shit, really. So, like, I don't know if we've really learned much.
I hate when
about him, but he looked good doing it.
I hate when like guys go over to the States and just look so bummy. that the whole of the states probably just think every British boxer's a bum, man. Because I don't understand
You're
his
a bum.
I don't understand his mindset. Like, you gone there. I understand he's got the, maybe thinking, I'll let Jack fire shots off, maybe tire himself out. But you have to throw back. You can't just sit on the ropes, bobbing and weaving, and not throw back for a whole minute, and you're getting caught with big shots, man. It's like a terrible game plan, man.
Especially against a guy like, I always call him Bumdu, and I'm always going to because I just like that name too much. But he's a legit body puncher, and he was touching him to that body, wasn't he? And cleverly he was just. I think it felt like he was on like he was a tourist there for like one final hurrah,
Yeah.
Like a stag do fight, He was there getting some money because I know the purses came out and it looked really small, but I think he's getting something on the end from that pay-per-view. So over here, so I think he would have made some decent money, but he just looked like he was there for the lols, right?
Yeah, he just went over there for the cash, and I've got a belt, even though it doesn't really mean shit because it's a WBA, but I'll just go over there and defend it. And it was crazy because when I watched it live, I was tuned into a stream that had Brian Kenny and Sugar Ray on commentary, and like, I don't know, Sugar Ray's terrible on commentary, man. If you ever hear him on PBC, he's awful. And like, he didn't even know like Cleverly was like a former world champion, when he had the WBO, and he was saying some wild shit. I'll probably get into this later, man, but he was saying like fucking Cunningham's got a steel iron chin, and I'm thinking, does he know how many times Cunningham's been down in his career? It was crazy, man. But anyway, back to the fight. Yeah, I totally agree, Leon. I just think he was there for the paycheck. But it's quite embarrassing, man. I think it reflects bad on him. It reflects bad on Hearn because he's his promoter. It's pretty shitty, I thought.
It's pretty shitty, and it's annoying because it kind of. I thought it would be a good win, but I don't feel like he put in enough of a good performance to suggest it was a good win. But you can't, it's difficult. I think we take wins away from fighters. He did a really good job on him, so you just got to say he beat a good guy, even though his performance wasn't great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Amadi, you missed this fight, didn't you?
No, I saw this fight, man.
I'll go into it.
How do Jack beat the shit out of Nathan Cleverly, man? I don't know. I got a question. Like I've been saying this whole fight and that, because this fight got announced really late. Like, it was announced with 3 weeks
That's
ago.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true.
Really late. Did Cleverly even have a fucking training camp?
But I think
it was always in the pipeline, though, wasn't it? But
yeah.
Still,
yeah,
must be distracting.
You're not going to train hard if your fight's not there, if it's not confirmed, it's not official, man. Like, yeah, it's all well and good telling someone, yeah, just go down to the gym, you'll have a fight.
Yeah, pay your guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I just think it was a bit dodgy, and I knew from like the first round, like Badou Jack was hitting Cleverly, and like Cleverly's facial expression will completely change. Like, it's like he'll take a deep breath and blow, and you're thinking to yourself like, wow, like, is Badou Jack really hitting that hard that you're really like, your face is really changing, like you're pulling faces, and then Badou Jack just systematically just beat him down, body shots, left hooks, right hands. Cleverly was poor, man. Like, his output was really low as well. It was really low, surprisingly, like he wasn't really throwing that much, and
all the bravado was gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, he used to, like, when you get hit, he would have a bit of kind of, he'd go back at people, wouldn't he? But that all seemed to have
I think the chin had been cracked a few fights ago. He took a big hit against Fonseca, and that fight, I think, definitely took something out of him, man, because he wasn't the same after that, I thought. And Brahim, I've thought, has been shot for years. He's just really been selective in his opponents, and Cleverly would just kind of outworked him. And yeah, Hamada makes a great point about the not having this date set in stone, because I do think that they kind of knew that the fight was going to go ahead, but when it's not actually inked, you're not on the paperwork, you're not signed a contract, then you're probably right, Hamada, you're not going to train as hard, because you might think, well, I might not be fighting, so fuck it. But I still don't think that's a good enough excuse, especially if you're a belt holder and you're going over to the States to defend and stuff. It reflects bad on you.
So you should at least have like a minimum level of fitness, so that it only takes a few weeks really to at least get 90% there,
but
something like that. But
2 points I want to make. One is Jack looked small against Cleverly, man, and I think Cleverly's a good size light heavy, but it looked like a light heavy versus a super middle. So again,
he outweighed him by 5 pounds in the ring. So
I think selective competitors need to be picked for Jack, I think, because against big size dudes that are not shot like Cleverly, like I think Bivol causes Jack problems, man. I think that's probably I'd favour Bivol maybe 60-40, but Jack has impressed me, man. In my mind, though, I always see him laid out on the floor face first, man. So I'm thinking someone someone that can crack's really going to have that effect on him, I think. But sorry, Naoto.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. To be fair though, to try basically say that he would have to be fighting, pretty big, strong guys at light heavy, in order for you to be favoring somebody over him, says a good bit about him too. I think it's not even necessarily just about the size, but really the power to chin ratio that Jack has. And the thing about it is, I think Jack, he might be a little chinny early, because he's cold. I think as the rounds start heating up, I've seen him take some pretty good shots, in the past, once it gets into like the mid rounds at least, and he's taking them fairly well. I think it's just like a thing about him kind of getting into a rhythm and getting warm and being able to like anticipate the punches, as opposed to early on in a fight possibly being maybe like that, some of the James Kirkland syndrome, so to speak, where he can be got to early, but if you don't get him and make an impression on him in those early rounds, the fight can get infinitely more difficult, because once he starts getting into a rhythm, starts putting his punches together, especially to the body, but mixing it up. He's just one of the higher level operators really in the sport in terms of being able to mix it up, body, head, body, etc. I actually thought he started headhunting a little bit too much as it got into like the 4th and the 5th round. I guess because he felt like he could get Cleverly out of there, but had he invested more to the body, I think he probably could have done it sooner.
Yeah, but it's interesting what you say, Cam, about that, him looking small and stuff. And you look at the names that he called out after the fight, and it was Stevenson and Fonfara, wasn't it? And they kind of guys have come up through the weights.
No, he didn't
that might be a bit of a tell.
He didn't call Fonfara out. He was just basically saying you can either duck me and fight Fonfara for the 3rd time, or so basically he's calling out a small dude. Basically,
I thought, yeah. No, because I just think that problem with that division is there's not many light punching dudes,
Well,
even though Stevenson came from super middleweight, he's not a small guy. He is not a small guy whatsoever. He's short, but he's not small. He's one of those good examples.
Yeah.
The guy that's short for the class, but he's a big fucker.
But a big punch, that is a division full of, like I said, I don't think there's many like guys who are just like all boxing with no dig on them. Most of them have got a dig on them.
Yeah,
but I think that could be it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Just as the fight finished, Leon, I was talking to a few people on Twitter, and including our mate Bill from New Zealand, and the WBA before the fight said that the winner has to fight Bivol within 90 days. You and me were on the Bivol bandwagons from day one since you beat up that bum on that Russian card. But do you see Jack, if he gets the bigger fight, maybe a Stevenson or another big name? Do you think him just dropping the belt? Because I don't think he would want to, have such a quick turnaround. He fought last in January against De Gale.
I don't see that fight happening.
Yeah, I don't really see either. I want it to happen because I think it's a really good fight, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, the risk to reward is all crazy with that. I think if anything, he'll get the shot at Adonis, easier to make. And the fact is, fighting Bivol, it'd be for that basically the JV WBA belt, and Andre Ward probably wouldn't want to fight him after he either beats Bivol or Bivol beats him. So, it's almost like a non-starter altogether. It's like at the end of the day, he's not going to be really progressing that much. Whereas if he beats Stevenson, that would make a big impression on the division and overall.
Yeah, I don't think that Bivol fight does much for him at the moment. And to be fair to him,
money too. He makes a lot more money with Stevenson.
At this point in his career, he's come up division. He must, I can understand why that fight might not happen. I wouldn't suggest that. As long as he fights a good dude, if he was to duck Bivol, like not take the Bivol fight from Farah, then there would be issues. But if he's going after Stevenson and he's going to try and get Stevenson in his next fight, then that's great. But he better fight. If he fight Stevenson's next fight and he ducks Bivol, he better be fighting a good guy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and in theory, the Stevenson fight should be next because both with Heyman. So fingers crossed. If you don't get,
I think Jack could just go into that fight. I don't think he needs to get. I don't think he need that much more. Getting acclimatized to the weight.
The other thing that might stand in the way is if there's a WBC mandatory looming. Because I know there's that whole thing with Alvarez and Rosdick and all that shit. So that may
Alvarez loves that step aside money though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
that is true.
I'm not. I am. Hey, I would take it.
Yeah, why not? You get paid not to fight.
Why not? All right, let's talk about it.
Cam, earlier you said. I just wanted to say something. You said earlier that it does. Like stuff like what happened with Cleverly, the way he got battered, it does reflect badly on British boxing, man. It reminds me of the dark days of Lee Purdy and Brian Rose and Gavin Reeves. Pure just cannon fodder.
Serious.
And Tony Bell, you going to Canada.
Yeah, it was just bad viewing, and the people in America must be thinking these Brits are bums, man. Fucking bums.
Just remember back on that. Remember how bad Bellew was when he went to Canada and Stevenson iced him. Just think back on that.
But he was
one of the worst performances ever on away soil by
He was dredged at the weight though, Leon.
He got fucking battered.
That was one of the best days ever, man.
Oh, it was glorious, man.
That's the reason I got blocked from Bellew, because he was talking some shit to Joseph Parker or someone, I think, and I just posted the picture of him getting iced by Stevenson.
Oh, that one in the corner when his head's all
yeah.
Love that picture.
Then he instantly blocked me. So.
Well,
that's
that didn't even happen.
Blocking.
According to people at Sky, I mean, that
fight never happened. Yeah.
That fight didn't happen. Like, no one even talks about it. There's no footage for it. You can't find it on YouTube. It just didn't happen.
It's only us out there posting that picture, fighting the good fight, Cam.
Exactly, man. Keeping the hope alive. But
exactly.
Right. Which one of you guys saw the Gervonta fight? I think it's only in Naoto, or did you catch it as well, Leon?
No, I didn't. I heard it was a bit of a mess, but I didn't see it.
Naoto,
tell me about it.
Break it down, Naoto.
Gervonta Davis, at first, he looked like he was showing off a little bit of his talent, the speed, the kind of natural attributes that he has. But as the rounds kind of pressed on, Fonseca was kind of sharpshooting him. He was almost giving him, I don't want to say a boxing lesson, like he wasn't schooling him or anything, but he was showing him the finer points of actually having those fundamental skills in terms of technicalities and angles and the footwork and placing your punches in the right spots at the right times. And whereas Davis was trying to work so much off of reflexes, Fonseca, you could tell that even though he's not like an especially well-known fighter, that he is pretty well schooled for what it's worth. And in spite of the fact that Davis probably outweighed him by quite a bit, because not only did he miss weight, but he refused to actually weigh in on the night. Fonseca weighed 138 on the night for what it's worth. He went in there, and I mean, really, he probably should have been winning when that fight was stopped. It was stopped after a shot to the back of the head, a pretty clear shot to the back of the head. I don't necessarily think that Davis was meaning to hit him back there necessarily, like it wasn't like an intentional rabbit punch, but it was kind of incidental as he was, getting a little more frustrated and started winging his shots a bit wider as the fight kind of pressed on. And, it seemed like the superior technicality of Fonseca kind of reminded me of actually like Castellanos against Gamboa, where it's like the superior technicality of Fonseca was really frustrating Davis and getting to him a little bit. But the ref wound up stopping it. The referee Russell Moore, that Hall of Famer, and I say that very sarcastically, stopped the fight off of a rabbit punch that dropped Fonseca. And, Fonseca afterwards is pissed because he felt like he got hard done by, and he really did. He was on his way to possibly becoming the new IBF champion. And, I have to definitely think that if they don't necessarily overturn this decision or what have you, he deserves a shot at that vacant belt. Davis says that he can still make the weight, so he's going to try to and re-win it. So, I mean, to me, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. Although I'm sure Davis's people probably aren't too keen on that. But, if Fonseca winds up fighting the top contender for the IBF, which happens to be Billy Dibb, he'll beat him, and he'll become the new IBF champ. He'd be definitely probably the weakest of the title holders. But, I mean, still, for what he showed in there, and especially as big of a step up as he took from, fighting relative like journeymen in Costa Rica to fighting Gervonta Davis, who, albeit maybe the weak link of the champs at 130, still a good fighter. I was pretty impressed with what he was able to do in there. So good look for Fonseca and a pretty bad one for Davis. It's looking like he may be a little bit more Broner than Floyd in there insofar as his potential career arc.
I don't know, Neil. So this is one where I kind of disagree with a lot of what you said. Fonseca, I did watch him last week. I kind of give a rough idea of what I felt about him, and yeah, he was kind of better than I expected. I thought like fundamentals, like the jab, the straight punches, the left hook to the body was decent, but to me, for this fight, it was more on how bad Gervonta was rather than how good Fonseca was. Because I think if Davis was on his game more, I think it would have been a bit more of a clearer win. But I think with him doing all that,
maybe he was drained.
I don't know if he was drained, but he just looked like he was trying to show off a bit too much, like doing the the Emmanuel Augustus impression of looking drunken and hands behind his back and just fucking about too much. I thought, where if he showed glimpses in like the third round where he would like shoot a left uppercut, right hook, left hook, and just mix it up a bit like he did against Pedraza. But he just did it too far, too few and too far between. I thought like there were just lulls in his action where he wasn't doing enough. It was getting scrappy, and Fonseca did have a bit of success, but that kind of punch that ended it, that rabbit one, I think the crowd are a bit. If they were booing because of that, I don't know. I know I had a conversation with Lynn before the show, and he was saying maybe it was because he missed weight, maybe because he was fucking about during the fight. But it seemed to me that the crowd were booing him towards the end because of the rabbit punch. And I just thought it was a punch where he threw it, the dude moved his head a bit, and the punch did land towards the back of the head, but I don't think there was intention behind it. And I didn't think it was a heavyweight shot either, because when you looked at the replay, he kind of just tapped him around the back of the head. Like Floyd took heavier hammer shots from fucking McGregor than that shot to Fonseca. And
well, I mean, he was throwing in the motion, so I mean, he's coming forward and you hit somebody in the back of the head. It's almost like you're kind of helping them in, forward down to the canvas. This is basically what happened.
I thought the major damage was done from like a left uppercut just before that shot, so I don't know if he was trying to style it out and get a rest from the hurtful body shot. But who knows? I was disappointed with Gervonta though, because he missed weight by a lot. He had to go to the scale 3 times against Walsh as well to actually make the weight. So you think he's maybe learned from that, but maybe he just physically too big, man. Because he is a very thick set guy.
I think he is.
Just go to 135.
If you look at most of his fights on the come up before he started fighting for titles, they were usually at like 133, 134. He wasn't trying to make a weight if he didn't have to, if there was nothing actually on the line for it. So.
No, it's true. That I did notice that as well when I was looking through his box rec. So yeah, maybe 135 it is now, and let's see what he does up there. Hopefully he'll have some better performances. Because
be interesting to see him in Easter. With the rivalry of Broner and Mayweather and everything.
Easter's a difficult fight for him, I think, just because of his length.
No, I think everybody's difficult for him at 135, to be frank. But I'm just saying that I could see that promotionally speaking.
Yeah, no, that would be promotionally quite good. But I think like him and Farmer wouldn't be good. But now with Farmer and his getting shot in the hand and stuff, so I don't know about that. But yeah, what else we got that we haven't discussed? 2 fights really. Tabiti versus Cunningham. Weird fight, Neota.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. It was like Tabiti kind of trying to be like a cutie in there, try to be, defensive and stuff, whereas he's normally known as a puncher. And I actually thought that he could have really benefited had he been a bit more aggressive against Cunningham. Because, I mean, Cunningham, for what it's worth, I mean, he's fairly defensively sound, even on the front foot. Regardless of what people may try to like stereotype him as like this more defensive boxer. He's really like kind of a mid-range to inside fighter, really, is what Cunningham has kind of always been. And in certain fashions, I mean, he was giving Tabiti some difficult angles, but I don't know. It's just Tabiti seemed like, I guess he felt like athletically speaking, he was superior to Cunningham, and so he just kind of rested on that and like kept it in the cruise control. And really didn't press the issue too much, because Cunningham isn't necessarily a knockout puncher, but, he can crack at least a little bit. And I don't know, maybe Tabiti just felt like, he was styling on him and just make it easy on himself rather than hard. And, I thought he won fairly clearly. I didn't think the scorecards were too out of whack. I thought he won pretty handily. Cunningham may have gotten a couple of rounds, but Tabiti, just a little bit too quick on the first step for him. And it was like Cunningham trying to play catch up the whole time.
Leon, you didn't catch this, did you?
No, I didn't see this.
Yeah, it was a weird fight, man. I think I've seen Tabiti once before. I don't really remember much from it, and this fight against Cunningham. I think the best thing against Cunningham is, attack him, man. He's a tough dude. I really like him, but he's 40, 41. He's he's been up and down more times than a stripper on a pole. He hasn't got a chin, man, and it almost seemed like Tabiti was a bit scared of him.
So it was like Eddie Chambers versus Gerald Washington. He's like the clearly bigger, stronger guy, like kind of being like, oh shit, like he's coming in after me.
Yeah, crazy, man. And I thought Tabiti won as well, but his output was too low, man. His accuracy was good when he was shooting the counters, but he wasn't throwing enough for me. And when you're trying to, I know it's early on in pay-per-view and stuff, but I think you just got to try and be a bit more eye-catching, because that's how you're going to get the bigger paydays in future. And against Cunningham, I think Cunningham was made for him, man. Like, you drop Cunningham, you maybe stop him, and look good doing it, then it's good set. But I don't know. The fact that Cunningham's coming forward, putting it on you, and you're kind of running away from him, I think it's a bit of a bad luck, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it would have looked good on the record. It would have looked good in front of all the fans that were, tons and tons of fans. But a bigger stage than he'll probably ever get again. Brings back to mind Jordan Lancaz knocking that dude out on the Pacquiao Horn card. He showed out on his opportunity to show out in front of a big crowd. And Tabiti kind of missed out on it. He I think should have stepped on the gas a bit and trying to really do something kind of show-stopping. Give people a little bit of extra to talk about, so that all these kind of casual audiences and radio shows and what have you saying like, oh, like Mayweather McGregor, this and that about the main event, but oh, did you see that knockout on the undercard though? Making at least giving a slight mention to it possibly.
Exactly.
Didn't make it happen.
Exactly. But probably the funnest fight on the undercard, Naota, Ugas versus Dolomi. Pretty fun fight.
Yes. Yeah, very good fight. I had actually picked Dolomi to win, so I was wrong there. He did hurt Ugas, he did drop him. But Ugas is a reasonably good boxer too. I thought it was a pretty good fight, fairly like kind of even level fight in terms of the skills of both guys. And it just turned out to be exciting. I think it was a bit of an upgrade from having Sean Porter in there, because I think Sean Porter would have just pretty much bodied Dolomi, just been too physical, too strong for him.
Yeah.
But Ugas went in there, kind of worked it out in a pretty gritty fight, and fair play to him. Maybe he'll get back on into the swing of things. 'Cause, I mean, his only losses were to undefeated prospects at the time, Amir Imam and so on. So at the very least, I think he might have earned himself some okay kind of B-side paydays for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and 2 of those losses were split decisions as well, so it's not like he completely got whitewashed. But yeah, I think Dolomi did well though, coming back from that start. He had a really bad start. He got dropped twice in the second round, and he was getting kind of buzzed at the start of the third as well. I thought like Ugas went in there to take him out in the third round, and he didn't. And I don't know if it's a combination of Dolomi kind of finding his feet again, and Ugas either maybe gassing a bit, or because it was a late notice kind of replacement, maybe not trained as much. I think he had a fight lined up, but he kind of came back, and some of the what was your? We're talking about referees, but yeah, Drakulic I think is terrible. And what did you think? Ugas was kind of convincing Drakulic that some of those were low when a lot of them were borderline.
I think so. I think there was a little bit of acting on his behalf.
He did a good job there.
Yeah. I think he felt like the fight might be slipping away from him, as it kind of was. And, he was going to try and do anything that he possibly could. And, smart of him, too, in order to try and get himself a little bit of a breather, as well as potentially get a point taken off of Dolomi, which he did. He got a couple of them. So.
Yeah, he got 2, yeah. But do you think this would be a fun rematch sometime soon?
Yep. Definitely. I'd like to see it.
Next.
Put it on one of those, like the headliner of one of those Tuesday night PBC cards or something. That's perfect.
Yeah, and you've got the story there already, because that was a great fight.
Yeah. What did you think of it, Leon?
Somewhat controversial decision. Go ahead.
I thought Dolomi did really, really well to get back into it, because I thought he was toast. I think your man there nearly, I think he punched himself out a bit, Cam. That's why he started gassing that 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
But it was a really good fight, and he's a skilled guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they both showed they were tough because, you know, one hung in there, and you know they both had to hang in there at points, didn't they?
Yeah, and it was one of those like kind of technical wars where both guys fundamentally very good. Like they use the jab, use the straight punches very good, but they both can kind of hurt each other, and both maybe got stamina issues. But well, Delorme maybe
and they both
so.
beat McGregor.
Yeah, definitely. But fun fight, and I'd love to see a rematch.
Yeah. I just quickly just saw something on Twitter there, Cam, by that Kevin Ione, is it, from Yahoo Sports, a boxing writer? Is that guy's name?
Yeah, Kevin Ione.
Yeah. Over 100 million streams, they think. That's what's been reported. What?
It's a lot of money.
All right, so Showtime trying to like clamp down early on basically did nothing.
I had mine was crystal clear. I had a Sky one.
So unfortunately, you had to listen to Sky commentary.
Turn that shit right down.
Well, like I said, I had the one with Brian Kenny, who I actually love, because.
And who was that for? Was that like an international stream for?
It must have
Showtime.
Been because Showtime obviously had their own guys, so I'm not sure who this was. They had Brian Von Tembo just kind of talking in between fights and just giving an overview, but it wasn't to camera. It was just like a voiceover. And then during the fights, it was Brian Kenny and Sugar Ray, who was awful, man. I have so much.
It must have
respect.
been international, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had the regular Showtime crew over here. We had Paulie and Al and.
How was Paulie? Paulie was loving that, wasn't he?
Towards the end, yeah. Like there's a couple of arguments though between him, Al and Moore. Alan Moore was saying like Floyd shouldn't be turning his back, and Paulie's like, he's not turning his back, guys. He's partially being turned by McGregor, and then they were like yelling at each other on a couple of instances with regard to that.
Did you see that clip of your boy Cam losing his shit about cheeseburgers and stuff?
Oh my god, man, Teddy, man. You know what's happened? You know what? I've got a theory behind this. I've got a theory. You know when Teddy was like undercover, basically doing Friday night fights, a journeyman versus an 18-year-old prospect. Like, no one cared what he said, but now he's back in the limelight. I think it's gone to his head, and he's just gone fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he was always crazy, to be honest with you. I remember, like, there was a couple of fights where he was like, this is why we need a national commission. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, that wasn't even a terrible scorecard. It was just different from your fucking crazy-ass bullshit.
He's exposed himself, Cam. That's what he's done.
Yeah.
He's exposed. He was safe in the shadows of his madness.
I mean, well, I think he was exposed as crazy back when he put that gun to Tyson's head.
Yeah, he's not all there, is he?
No, but that's why we love him, though, man.
But I bet he loves that. I'd like to have a few drinks with him because I bet he gets pretty fired up. You get a couple of whiskeys in him.
Yeah, man. He'd had some good stories to tell as well.
As long as he has a good foil, it's fairly entertaining. Like him and Hopkins. Him and Hopkins was good.
You could definitely make him get into a fight in a bar, though, couldn't you? Like you could talk him into doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, but the thing is, at least
you
want to be on his side as well. You know what I mean? For a guy that's got like a knife scar across his face, you know that he can handle himself.
On you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he might be a face biter.
Stand behind him, innit? That's the best, safest place to be.
Yeah. Always.
But
always stand behind people.
Are we done with this card? I think we are. Have we anything else to discuss?
No.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. All right, let's move over to the StubHub, man. Great venue for boxing. I'm kind of torn with this because a lot of people have said, "Oh, it was a great fight. It was a war toe to toe," and I see what they're saying, but when the opposition's best attribute is that he can take multiple punches or he can take his licks, Leon, then I don't know. There's a bit of the magic of the fight that goes away from me.
What happened to toe-to-toe?
It did for me, Cam, because I didn't watch it live. I watched it today, and I definitely drifted in those like the middle rounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, found myself just looking at Twitter or something. It's like, so I mean, there was some good action, but it just felt a bit.
At no point.
Like Cotto just slipped. That's just, all I felt like I was watching Cotto slip more. You
thought Cotto slipped? I don't know. Kamegai, to me, like the pressure he puts on is excellent. He throws a lot of punches. He could take a punch, but technique is terrible. You even heard Barry Jones say basically he's got shit technique, which is quite funny to see that because they obviously paid to show this fight on their channel. But the Yeah,
beats the shit out of McGregor.
His footwork is awful. Those little jogs he does towards his opponent, when he's far away, when the way he puts his arm up. I don't know, what is that? Is there some science theory behind that to maybe get blood down to your body or something at the end of the round? He always does it. A lot of Japanese fighters do that shit.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's quite
stuff,
amusing though.
Look, you can never. He earns his pay, doesn't he? No one's going to have any issue with his effort and his willingness to come forward. But a kind of tailor-made guy for Cotto. But I thought if Cotto had really slipped, I thought he might have been able to get to him a bit just with pressure. But unfortunately, not.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nicky, man? I know you really secretly want Kamegai to starch my boy Miguel.
Yeah, no, but Cotto is a level above him, or a couple of levels above him, really, technically speaking. So he was able to utilize that to his advantage. Keep him at least respecting somewhat his power and the timing and everything. But hey, Kamegai, he's a guy that he's definitely there to be hit. He's a reasonably basic. I do think that he still gives a lot of even high level fighters a lot of trouble. I mean, the fact that he was in there with Cotto and even nicked a couple of rounds off of him, says at least a certain degree about how he's maybe a tad underrated in the grand scheme of things. Especially now. He's not the fighter he was a couple years ago. I think he's learned a little bit more since he kind of first came onto the scene. But Cotto, he's still a high level fighter, still one of the higher level light middleweights, and he'd give just about anybody trouble, although, it's appearing like he might have one more fight if he fights by December, and if not, then, hey, it's been a good career for him.
Yeah. Maybe he'll fight on Boxing Day. But that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, Leon. You picked up the vacant WBO 154 belt, yeah?
Yeah.
But when Liam Smith had to fight Liam Williams, remember he had to have that 4-rounder?
Yeah.
Secret 4-rounder in Spain, so he wasn't coming in off a loss to win up that that WBO interim belt.
Yeah.
Well, Cotto's coming off a loss to Canelo, but yet he gets to fight for the full world title. I don't know. You can't really comprehend these organizations anymore. They just make up their own rules as they go, I think.
And I think it's just the WBO kind of. It's like the WBO's retirement watch for Miguel Cotto, the gold watch at the end.
Exactly. If you bring enough to the table, you can get what you fucking like from these people.
Yeah, WBC will make you a money belt.
Yeah, exactly. If you can pay those,
that's Mayweather's gold watch.
You can pay those fees nice and quickly. They like you.
That is true.
And Cotto's whatever Cotto's done very well out of sport, hasn't he? I mean, he must be.
When those checks
he must be
clear,
very well set up, mustn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think? He must have made 50 million across his career.
I think
probably more, right?
Didn't he have some silly money from Rock Nation? But obviously he probably didn't make all of that because his contract kind of some shit happened to it. But didn't they offer him 50 mil for 5 fights or something? Or 3 fights?
They gave him a big ass signing bonus on top of that too. So
he might have made up to 100. He
made out like a bandit. I think pretty much all the guys that signed with Rock Nation made out like bandits because they were paying way too much. They were overpaying everybody that they signed because they thought they were going to make some kind of big impression. They didn't.
Yeah. And then I think Cotto got a good amount against Floyd as well, and obviously money and stuff. So, yeah, man, good luck to him. You definitely deserved it. I'm kind of torn though. If he fights someone good in December before he said he's officially retiring, because he said he's not going to fight beyond 2017, I'm happy. But if he fights another Kamegai, I don't see the point.
Yeah,
it's an unnecessary fight.
I heard they were mentioning Canelo's name quite a lot on the commentary, like that might happen again.
We don't need everything.
Even Mark was saying that as well. So I mean, that's scary.
Nah, but if Golovkin would say, Cotto ain't going nowhere near that guy.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
Freddie did say in his post-fight when Kellerman was asking him, and he's like, "Well, what about the winner of Cotto versus Canelo?" But Freddie just says that, and you know what I mean. No, you don't want Cotto to die, man.
Your son gonna die, man.
Yeah, because I think if Canelo fought him again, he would just walk him down, wouldn't he? I don't think he would have any. He would just right, I can definitely knock this guy out.
Canelo's better than when they fought the first time too.
Yeah. He would just think Because he went in there just going, "I'll make sure I win this fight."
Yeah,
I win this fight. He did enough to win, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought Canelo treated him with a lot of respect. If you kind of went in there, with
he would
more
next time.
Yeah, next time he'd kind of just walk him down a bit more.
Finish the job. Yeah.
All right, undercard wise, Naoto. What did we have? Ray Vargas, Ronnie Rios. Pretty fun fight.
Yeah, WBC champ Ray Vargas, one of the several men that Guillermo Rigondeaux ducked because the WBC mandated it. Ray Vargas came to the table and Rigondeaux didn't. So there you go. But Ray Vargas, Ronnie Rios steps up to the plate. It played out kind of how I thought it was going to. Vargas was a little bit too long and utilized his distance better. He has good power, respectable power, both to the body and the head. I've kind of compared him to I've called him like maybe a poor man's Eric Morales in the past, but he's developing. He's definitely getting better with each fight, especially as his competition steps up. And I thought he did a really solid job in there. He outboxed Gavin McDonald to win the title. It was a vacant title, and he went in there against Rios, and Rios was trying to pressure him, trying to throw a lot of punches. He's one of those guys. He's like a combination puncher where as long as his hands are moving, his whole body's moving, and he's in a good rhythm. But if you can kind of catch him in between those bursts, you can take advantage of it, as Robinson Castellanos did previously, and Castellanos was able to kind of utilize that height and reach advantage over him as well. So you'd imagine that Vargas probably saw that, but although Vargas, I think, was a lot more in the back foot as opposed to Castellanos, who pressured Rios a bit more, but that also might be due to a size difference. Castellanos is a bigger guy than Vargas. Not taller, but, bigger. He's just a bigger mass-wise. But hey, he got the win, pretty entertaining victory, and I think he's going to be very troublesome for pretty much everybody that's at 122 or maybe even the future 126. Although he makes the weight fairly handily in spite of the fact of how tall he is. He's just one of those kind of beanpole guys, like a Zolani Tete, for instance, that he's just able to, or Celestino Caballero back in the day. He's just able to make a very low weight, and he has that kind of freak of nature attribute to him of being able to do that. Rios, he has been exposed before, as I mentioned, with Castellanos. So I'm sure at some point in the future, maybe we'll get like him as a tune-up bout for somebody like Jojo Diaz, utilize him in-house or something. If not, maybe some title shot in the future against maybe a weaker title holder or something like that. He's still a reasonably good fighter, just not on that high level. But I'm definitely interested to see what Vargas does in the future. I think there's a couple of really good opponents out there for him. Hugo Ruiz and Julio Ceja in particular. I think he probably outboxes both of them, but Ceja especially is a very dangerous puncher, knockout artist. So I think that would be a very interesting fight between those two.
Did you catch this fight, Leon, on the Box Nation feed? Leon?
No, I didn't catch it. No, sorry.
It was a decent scrap. Vargas, I was impressed with him against McDonald, man. He uses that when he does use it, he uses the jab very well, and he doubles it up and then shoots the right hand behind it. Left hook to the body's good as well. He throws it at a distance though. He doesn't get too close, but he doesn't need to because he's got the length. But he does switch off at times, I think, and he just kind of shoots power shots and he kind of neglects the jab a bit. But Rios, there were rounds when he was doing well, closing the distance, landing with the right hand, but there was kind of rounds where he switched off as well, and then Vargas kind of got back onto his jab and kind of controlled the fight. But it was a decent undercard fight. I'd probably give Rios maybe 3-4. I didn't score it officially, but I thought maybe 3-4 tops, but no more than that. I think there was a 7-5 card, which I thought was a bit too close.
The other two I think were 10-2, which is I think a bit more reasonable. I think
10-2,
10-2, 9-3 is about right.
But fun fight, and you just off topic, you were mentioning Jojo Diaz. I just confirmed as well.
Diaz, he's supposed to be fighting Jorge Lara.
Yes, confirmed. we talked about it a few weeks ago, and it was kind of like not 100% confirmed for the Canelo Golovkin undercard, but up to now, the undercard's weak, really. It's got Jojo versus Randy Caballero. Not Jojo, sorry. De La Hoya versus Randy Caballero.
Yeah.
And
that's a surprising one.
Yeah, and this being added to it, Jojo versus Jorge Lara, I think that's a great fight, man.
Yeah. That card is shaping up pretty nicely. I mean, I think Diego versus Randy Caballero is actually a pretty competitive fight. You know, Caballero seems to have like kind of fallen off since he was the bantamweight champ. Maybe it's just that at the higher weight he's just not as effective. And you know, Diego De La Hoya, he's been kind of a guy that's kind of back and forth. You know, sometimes he looks really good, like he could legit be a champ, and other times not so much. But Jojo versus Jorge Lara, man, that's incredible. If Jojo finds some way to win this fight, because I don't favor him to, then it's like the David Benavidez syndrome again. Like he's the best fighter at featherweight. I don't give a fuck who else is there.
I think this is a tough fight, but I'm backing my guy, man. I think we'll see like the best of Jojo Diaz in this fight.
Yeah. Perhaps. I mean, Lara is you know, he's a free swinger, so I think Diaz is definitely going to get pushed to that limit and have to bring out all the tools of the trade.
Push it to the limit.
Lara's a fucking savage. So Jojo isn't ready. He better be ready for a fight if he's not able to, box him. I'll put it that way, because Lara he's a straight animal in that fight. So hey, fair play to Diaz if he manages to pull that off. And I think that he has a lot of the tools, the potential, the talent at the very least, too. But I have seen him have some difficulty with guys that are able to kind of push him back, and that's Lara's game all day, 24/7. So. Let's see. I'm really, really high. I'm more hyped for that fight than I am for the main event. Really, like that's a good fucking fight.
Calm down, man. It's the main event's a great fight. Naota, come on.
It is. But it's one of those things where I know that I'm watching something special, and not quite everybody is on board with that. Like there's a lot of people that, if you were to ask them who Jorge Lara is, it'd be like they don't fucking know, because they don't pay attention. But people that do pay attention, there's something special brewing there.
All right. And did either of you catch the Fox Sports 1 card on Friday?
No. Bank holiday weekend.
You missed out, bro. You missed out. A great knockout and a really good fight. What did you think, Naota? Did you catch it?
Which card was it again? I might have, because I was just kind of catching up on all the fights.
Sergey Derevyanchenko versus Toriano Johnson and Emmanuel Lin versus Hugo Centeno Jr. Yeah,
I caught highlights of both fights. I didn't actually see the entire fight, so I could probably chime in. It'd be better probably if you started off.
No problem. Johnson, Derevyanchenko, a bit like Cotto versus Kamegai. Like one guy's taking a beating and not offering too much, and the other guy just controlling the fight. But I think it was a bit more competitive than the Cotto fight, just because Toriano Johnson. Not to sound, shit on him a bit, but he can be hurt, where Kamegai seems like he's made out of metal, man. Like, you can't hurt that dude, man. Whatever you throw.
He's a brick wall.
But Derevyanchenko was hurting Johnson, especially towards the end. He dropped him in the 12th, and then the fight was called off. But I was a bit disappointed with his corner, man. They had no compassion, man. Like, throughout the fight, he was getting beat up, but at no point did it seem like they were going to stop it, and I thought they should have. I thought after the 8th, 9th, they should have just been stopped, man, because he was game, he was coming forward, he was throwing, he was trying to throw, but Derevyanchenko was excellent, man. I thought he
was just outclassed.
Yeah, man, his movement, his little side steps to the left and to the right, rolling under punches, and then throwing back, countering Johnson. I thought it's probably the best performance I've seen from Derevyanchenko. I've seen him quite a bit recently, but I thought Johnson was going to be more competitive, and he wasn't, man. He just totally outclassed him, and it's one of those situations where you kind of want to see Golovkin, just if he does beat Canelo, maybe get the fight with Billy Joe, get all the belts and step up to 168, because I don't think Derevyanchenko beats Triple G, but
Golovkin ices Derevyanchenko.
Yeah, against other guys, him, I don't think he would fight Jacobs, because I think they're kind of close camps-wise, but there's a lot of other good fights. Him versus Lemieux would be really good. Him and Billy Joe Saunders would be really good. There's a lot of good fights from out there, so whenever Golovkin cleans out 160, then there's definitely good title fights to be made. But even without titles on the line, I think him in fights with a lot of 160-pounders would be decent, man, because I think
him versus like the new blood. There, he has some things that he could potentially do against those guys. I wouldn't favor him over like a Canelo or a Jacobs, but I'd give him pretty much even money against anybody else. Charlo and pretty much everybody else that's left around. Maybe not Murata. I think I'd still favor Murata over him, but otherwise, yeah, he's one of those guys that
isn't for just like the truly elite guys, the guys that some people might consider pound for pound. I don't necessarily quite as much, but some people do. He's still a badass in the division, and so he might be ready to take some scalps in serious fashion as soon as Golovkin and possibly Canelo and most likely Jacobs as well depart.
Yeah. No, it was a great fight, man. And Leon, if I see anyone, I'll send you a link, something to watch over the week if you're bored.
Yeah, do.
Aleem versus Hugo Centeno Jr. So, I was favouring Aleem. I thought his performance against Kaitrov back in January, I think it was excellent. Kind of fight of the year contender. But I've only seen Hugo a few times, and I know Lim likes him, but doesn't really rate him that highly. And when I watched a bit before the fight, I did see him. He's kind of tall, but it really doesn't use his height as much. He's got a really low left hook. And one thing that I was speaking to my guy Arizona Slim on Twitter, because he kind of wanted my opinion on the fight. He was favouring maybe just slightly Junior, and I was favouring Aleem. Is that that low left hand from Junior just really invites that kind of right hand over the top, and the amount of
He gets some leverage on it, though, on that low left hand. He gets every bit of power into that.
No, he does. And I just favoured, because if you saw the shots that Kaitrov was getting caught with, it was kind of like overhand right, but multiple, so he would double it and triple it. And I thought if he can land some of them on Hugo, and then he's going to get hurt. But, he used the jab really well. He was on the back foot. The counter left hook was working, and that's the shot that basically starched him. And I think Aleem went to throw the same shot, just a lead left hook, and just in between got starched out with Hugo's left hook, and it was a great knockout.
Yeah, man. It's like not too dissimilar from when he knocked out James De La Rosa. De La Rosa had been fresh off of the win over Angulo.
Yep.
And I remember Centeno switched southpaw. And I remember De La Rosa actually got bloodied his nose just before, like a few seconds before. He switched southpaw and then boom, landed a left cross, put him to sleep. And this wasn't too dissimilar, albeit it was more in the orthodox stance, and wasted him, man. Ugly knockout.
Yep. I'll find that as well for you, Leon.
Unfortunate for Aleem, because he was riding high off of that Kaitrov win, man. That was a big one.
That was a really good win, man. I hope he kind of regroups and comes back, because he's still a decent talent at that weight, I think.
Yeah.
But that was about it. Naota, I didn't manage to find that Yamanaka versus Fukuhara fight. I don't know if you did.
I wound up actually having to see that live somewhat, as I was kind of half asleep and dying over the weekend, but it was a pretty close fight from what I saw. Yamanaka wound up defeating Fukuhara. I thought Fukuhara was going to win that, so I was wrong there. Yamanaka, he's done a bit better. This is a different Yamanaka, by the way, than the one that's normally that's on the Naota Bingo. That's on there. This isn't Shinsuke. This is Ryuya at minimum weight.
And any Yamanakas on the Naota Bingo, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I think because I don't even mention Shinsuke that much. But somehow, it's I don't know if he realized, Kimo realized when he was putting that shit together, the fact that this fight was coming up. But yeah, he definitely got me with that one. But hey, Ryuya managed to pull it off, and in pretty good fashion too. I think that he's definitely not out of sorts amongst the champs at 105. Put him in there, especially against knockout CP Freshman, who's shown some vulnerabilities recently. And I think he might have a fair chance to beat him, or even IBF champ. His name escapes me. Kyoguchi. I think he'd have a good shot against him. Maybe not Minayothin as much. And matter of fact, speaking of Minayothin, he actually just got to 48-0 on Friday. It was a non-title fight above the weight, but he's 48-0 now. So hey, TBE is a brewing.
He loves his non-title fights. Going to change hands
soon.
He loves those non-title fights.
Yeah, man. That's how they do it in Thailand. They just throw anybody in there. But hey, if Floyd can fight a guy in his pro debut, why not? Why can't Minayothin do something with a journeyman? So there you go.
That is fair. Leon, any news you've seen over this week? Probably not, because it was just Mayweather this.
It's just a wash with Mayweather, wasn't it? It was difficult to... No, I haven't seen anything really. I mean, we talked about Frampton last week. That was the biggest bit of news, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No real fights announced, has there been?
Not that I saw. I just think boxing scene have gone full casual because they actually like put an article about Amir Khan's wife saying that she's pregnant, and it's like, how is that boxing news?
Why is Paddy Parr's like, what are they taking bets on it or something? If it's his?
They're going fully casual, man. Boxing scene are terrible.
They're fucking bastards, those Paddy Powers. They're fucking evil.
There's some trolls then, yeah.
They're pure trolls.
But yeah, no fights.
No,
really
so have we got anything coming up? It's Cheeseman week, isn't it?
It is indeed, man. The hype train.
Margarito versus Carson Jones.
Yeah, they're basically two cards
Tony's
because.
back.
Yeah, basically it's Labor Day weekend in the States next weekend, so there's there's nothing in the US. So obviously we got this in Mexico, Margot versus Carson Jones, but I think Jones is shot, man.
Mhm. Yeah, Margarito probably takes it to him.
Yeah, they're both shot. So I don't really got anything to talk about.
One of Canelo's brothers, the one that actually fought Margarito.
Yeah, he's on the undercard. Yeah, but who cares about him though?
Exactly.
Not even Canelo.
I don't think. Yeah, I think Leon's right. I don't think Canelo even cares. But yeah, the other card, Cheeseman, Leon. Basically,
he goes up to. I'm sorry, Cam. He goes up to Canelo and he's like, "Hey, Canelo, I got a fight this Saturday." And Canelo just looks at him and says, "Cool."
Yes, just cool story, bro. Cool story, bro.
Using my words, but yeah, Leon, you're talking about next gen. Are you going to this at York Hall on Friday?
Nah, man.
Got better things to do each time. Yes.
Can't do that.
Do you think
I like Cheeseman.
Do you think it'll be a nightclub again, like that last next gen card at York Hall?
Oh yeah, it'll be pure because it'll be just like it'll be one big JD advertising, won't it?
Will Eddie be co-hosting with Anna?
I hope to God not, because he was horrible during the Mayweather week. So I mean, yeah, don't need to see that again. Yeah,
but I haven't really got anything to say. I think Boatsi on Box Rack at the moment is TBA, but I know sometimes they don't fully get updated. Okoli's TBA. Conor Ben's fighting Kane Baker 4-0. Joe Cordina's on there fighting Jamie Spite, who's 15-12. Cheeseman's fighting a TBA, which is quite poor, I think. So
I thought he was a headliner, Cheeseman.
I'm not sure. On Box Rack it's TBA unless they've announced it. Let me check Matchroom's website. Theirs is more up to date sometimes. But yeah, it's one of those shitty next gen cards where we shouldn't really be on TV. But that's how we
Fight
do it.
Pass. Fuck's sake.
Fight Pass got scrapped, didn't it? That's just for basically getting.
When is that stream going to open up? Criminal, that really.
Boat's used to TBA. Cheeseman's still TBA. Even worse with Cheeseman's, Leon. On Box Rack it's as a 10-rounder, but on the Matchroom website it's 6/8. So they're not even decided how many rounds it's going to be yet.
It's just pointless. This is going to be pointless.
Yeah, what do you think? Oh, like 1 and 2 round knockouts, basically, isn't it? Like no fight's going to go beyond 3 rounds, I don't think.
You'll see the clips up on the Sky Sports boxing Twitter feed, and they'll be like a minute long, and then that's all you need to see.
This is the card as well, you know, where Adam Smith thinks, I'm not commentating on this, I'll send Andy Clark in it. I'm too big.
Yeah, exactly.
There'll be Andy Clark. Let's guess the commentary team. Andy Clark, Dave Coldwell will be in and out somewhere.
Yeah, I think Spencer Oliver might get run out. Yeah,
Spencer, and then I think maybe they'll just call Jamie Moore in now and again on a shitty fight to get his opinion.
They might even have someone like we might get his opinion from the side. They might have like Anthony Fowler just there in the audience, and they go to him every now and then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that kind of guy.
I think you're right, man. That's how it's going to play out. But yeah, it's quite weak. So, you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Actually, on that same card with Margarito versus Jones, something that might be of some interest is Constantine Panamara versus Carlos Ocampo. So, if Ocampo manages to beat Panamara, then he's an undefeated prospect, so he might actually.
And they're both undefeated.
The winner. Yeah, they both are. So I mean, and they're both actually the number 3 and number 4 for the IBF. So I'd imagine.
What weight are they at?
147. The winner of that fight would probably be the mandatory for Spence.
Ooh,
so,
interesting.
Some interest there, and they're both undefeated, so it's looking pretty good. And then aside from that, on Sunday, Shun Kubo versus Daniel Roman for the WBA regular title, although with whatever Rigondeaux's doing with Lomachenko, I don't know if he's going to drop belts or what's going to happen with him, but the winner of that fight might wind up being the full WBA champ in the end, depending on what happens with Rigondeaux and Flores and that whole mess. But Kubo, he's an okay fighter out of Japan. Got a bit of a punch on him. Daniel Roman is a bit more of like a slick, quick guy. But Kubo, even though he did stop Neymar Cermeño in his last fight, Cermeño was like a really good spoiler, not too dissimilar from Roman. He's an older guy. And I think, if anything, that Roman, he'll be able to take advantage of Kubo's somewhat difficulty that he had kind of getting to Cermeño. Although, I mean, Kubo's a good body puncher, and if he's able to make it happen to Roman, slow him down, cut him off, he could win the fight. But I slightly favor Roman in that.
And Leon, you were going to talk something?
I was just going to say, that doesn't really matter, actually. It was just something stupid. Just a picture I saw of Spence on Twitter over the weekend. He was having a selfie taken with Carl Frampton, and he's cross-eyed. It looks mental. It looks really weird.
I noticed that, man. Frampton was in Vegas getting loads of selfies.
Yeah. The one of Spence, he honestly looks so cross-eyed.
Shit, man. He's driving crazy around the house.
Don't know.
Know.
Yeah, I have no idea who the fuck that was.
Someone tearing up the streets on Naota's road. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
DMX.
Where my dog's at? Rough Riders Road.
Running from the IRS.
There's nothing else to talk about, is there? I thought it was. When is the next? It's like the Golovkin next, or was it Superfly first?
Superfly.
Superfly this coming week.
The week after next, and then Golovkin after that. So yeah, man, can't wait.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah,
that Superfly, man.
That's gonna be incredible.
I can tell you one thing though, right? For all these people, right? People who keep these lists, and you know those pound for pound lists, they drop fuckers dead quick, don't they? For all the time they take doing these lists. Like the number of people I've seen with Roman, like another fucking, he's still the best guy in the business. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Yeah, easily.
He's
but,
the fucking best guy. Look at his fucking run.
Because he's a foreigner and he doesn't have this gigantic fan base that'll take up for every bullshit maneuver that he does, like a lot of these other fighters do. I guess they have kind of the ability to without too much uproar from people. Considering the fact that the guys that were behind him and should still be behind him have much more vocal and strange fan bases. I'll just put it that way. Some very strange people that are fans of some of these guys.
You've done strange. They're a bunch of fucking weirdos.
Stalker level shit.
Yeah, look. I mean, I just think it's mental. I mean, like I said, I don't care about their list, but I just think it's so peculiar. How quick? It's because he's a little dude and he's a foreign guy. He's like one loss and he's suddenly like fucking out. And
oh my god, he fights on the front foot. Oh, he must suck then.
But do you know what I mean? Like I just think it's mad how quickly people turn on people. He's still the fucking man.
It took a high level knockout artist in his fourth weight class to get a decision that he probably really didn't deserve.
Yeah, exactly.
In order to get a loss on that record. It took that, as opposed to needing, like for instance, for some other fighters, as opposed to needing two fights to actually get it right and needing a gift in the first one.
And a helping hand. But look, he's still the best guy. That's all I wanted to say.
Just quickly, either of you catched 24/7 Part 1 with the Canelo Golovkin yet?
I'm staying away from all that stuff, man.
Haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it in full. I only saw like the beginning of it, but haven't had a chance to see the whole.
For the people listening, the HBO, I don't know why they do this. It's like they're probably worse these days at promoting fights. Like, don't you want people to kind of like get interest into the fight? They geo-lock this, so basically anyone outside of the US can't watch it on YouTube.
Cam,
yes,
it's going to be on Box Nation a week before, so they aren't allowed to show it.
Is that the reason? It's still a shitty reason because who watches?
Shitty reason, but they sold it.
Who watches 24/7? Who watches 24/7 on Box Nation? Like by the time it's on Box Nation, like Part 2's been out, no one cares.
Perverts.
But okay,
if it's part of the deal, that's why it happens. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, fuck that shit. Basically,
honestly,
go on. What happened? What was it like, Cam? You see him running down the. Was he running down the beach again? Oh, gingerbread.
He was on the back of a horse.
Gingerbread.
He was on the back of a horse. But it's classic. It's classic 24/7. It's like how many times can you...
Kimo and them are going to love that.
How many times can you show the same stuff again? You know, they go back to the old hood, they go back to the old gyms, see the old trainers. It's the classic
barbecuing.
But you know, the cinematography from HBO is always a lot better than anything else that any other channels do. So
that's the unfortunate thing, is the fact that it's wasted on the same fucking people every single time. Whereas you can't get some of that cinematography and that production and shit for more fighters that I think deserve it as well. You know, they're not even talking just about the super flyweights, but just the other fighters that fight on fucking HBO or that fight in general. I mean, I don't know, man. I'd love to see more of those like specials in the 2 days and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to see
fighters,
15 minutes on Jojo Diaz and Jorge Lara, just to kind of let the general public who maybe don't know much about him a bit of insight into him, because they might never get the opportunity to fight in pay-per-view, so give them a bit of an introduction to the masses. But just for the people that are outside of the US that can't watch it, and I'm not going to wait for Box Nation to show it, I've basically ripped it and put it onto Google Drive. So if you want to watch it, just go over to the Coalition Twitter or my Twitter and you can watch it on there. And that's about it. Leon?
The problem with these programs, it makes people go too spastic too early, like these build-up programs. That's what I find. Like, this fight is bad. It's going to be bad enough as it is with all the madness surrounding it. It just winds people up. So that's why I stay away from it.
So do you think this?
You know what I'm saying?
Stay tuned for the special. Stay tuned for the special episode where we dissect 24/7 and dissect every word.
Yeah, Leon, like I don't agree, Leon. Really, like for a fight like Mayweather versus Conor, yeah, but I don't think Golovkin versus Canelo will bring out like the idiots. I don't think. I think this is like a boxing fans.
You're too nice, Cam.
I think this is a boxing fans fight. This one. I don't think it's like. I don't think there's going to be too many weirdos out.
You know, I like Golovkin, but most Golovkin fans they're people that I would never want to associate with.
And then there's a lot of the people who are out there who do the I don't hate him, but Triple G, you know, the people who don't like Triple G. I don't hate it. I'm just saying the. So it just brings out crazies, Cam. But I can't wait for the fight.
Yeah, I think it's worse when he's fighting a black dude. I think the fact that he's fighting a Mexican, I think there'll be less crazies out. But every time,
there's a good point, Cam. Good point.
Yeah, every time Golovkin fights a black dude, man, it's just the world goes crazy. But I'm done unless you guys got anything else to talk about.
Nah, man.
All right, Leon. Thank you, Naota. Thank you. Also, when Hamada was on earlier, thank him too. All the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next week. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
It feels great. Great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass.
Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.